evening, everyone. Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the Hilton Garden Inn and the Hall of Fame Banquet. My name is Kevin Beatty, Associate Athletic Director, and it's a pleasure to be here serving as the MC of another tremendous Hall of Fame induction class. The Hall of Fame Committee, of which I have the privilege of chairing, is passionate about Rensselaer athletics and those who are affiliated, including the student athletes, alums, staff, and our fans. It's never an easy task to select an induction class. And once again this year, the candidates generated debates amongst the committee throughout the entire process. We are already looking ahead to next year and another outstanding pool of candidates. On behalf of the committee, congratulations to our Student Athlete Award winners, which include standouts from the pitch, the court, the pool, the track, and the diamond. They each had All-America seasons to help propel their teams to new heights. The national spotlight has become brighter here in Troy because of their accomplishments. Congratulations. This year's Hall of Fame inductees are also very special individuals who helped transform the campus and the department. Trevor, Amy, Pat, Whitney, Jimmy, you all understood that being a student athlete at a school like Rensselaer is a privilege to be treated with the utmost respect. You acted as such, and equally importantly, demanded your teammates did the same. Our inductees were captains and All-Americas, NCAA participants, and that's because they had heart. They had the desire and the will to work to be among the elite in Rensselaer athletics, and dare I say, Division III athletics. Congratulations to each of you for accomplishing exactly that, and thank you for what you did and continue to do for Rensselaer and Rensselaer athletics. Before we go much farther, I just want to say thank you as well to RPI TV, which is nice enough to webcast tonight's event. So those who aren't able to be here can still see our inductees being recognized. And for those who are interested, it will be archived. So those who are here unable to watch, you'll be able to go home and watch it over and over again. We also want to thank the staff from the Hilton Garden Inn. They do a tremendous job. We host a lot of events here, and it's a privilege to be able to work with those folks. So thank you for that. Speaking of, the Hilton Garden Inn staff has agreed to leave the buffet out. The desserts are out as well. Feel free to go up for a second time, get your desserts. We want to make sure that everyone is well fed for our event. Before we get to the inductions, a brief explanation on the format. Each inductee will be introduced individually, after which they will come up and receive their plaque from Dr. McElroy. They will then return to their seat, and once everyone has been inducted, we'll have each of the five come up for a panel discussion. Now, getting back to the selection process, for this year's class, it began around the first of the year in late December, early January. And as many of us know, that's when people are apt to make resolutions or set goals for the next 12 months. Another concept is the notion of one word, which was popularized by the best-selling author and motivational speaker John Gordon. The idea is to choose a word for the new year that will inspire you to be your best. Well, while researching our new Hall of Famers, the idea of one word stuck. And though it's not just for 2018, but for their collegiate careers. Specifically, the words balance, desire, effort, faith, and poise reverberated. We will begin our inductions, although a bit of a change from your program. which is no problem at all. Instead of beginning with Trevor, we'll start with, I guess, our leadoff hitter, though I don't know if you've ever batted leadoff. Amy Hewling, class of, Coach says yes, class of 2006. Amy came to Rensselaer with a desire to play softball, but it was for different reasons than why she had laced up her cleats previously. Now that she was away at school, she found herself playing the game because she wanted to, because she could have fun without the pressures of being under a hometown microscope. As Amy shared in the questionnaire that we received back from her, my softball career and the road to RPI softball could really only be described as long and tempestuous. I started softball at the age of 5 and pitching at the age of 9. I subsequently quit the sport at 10 because I didn't like the chafing pitching caused, and I didn't like dirt in my socks. Totally valid reasons, but as an adult, I can reclassify simply as I got burned out. But 10-year-old me was convinced I couldn't handle dirt in my socks. While probably the most ridiculous reason I quit softball, it was not the last. I quit 2 more times during my career, and I can genuinely say that I didn't play softball 100% for me until I reached RPI. Once I was here, though, I loved softball, I loved my teammates, and I attribute my many successes to having amazing teammates and friends whom I was always excited to see and compete with. They pushed me to be the best I could be. Amy was obviously pushed appropriately, and it showed immediately. As a freshman, the pitcher, outfielder, and designated player batted .338 with 22 runs batted in, while compiling a .274 earned run average with 6 complete games. She was the UCAA Rookie of the Week 4 times and earned year-end awards from the conference as well as the ECAC. A multi-sport athlete at Holton Arms School in Virginia before coming to Rensselaer, Amy wanted to follow a similar path in Troy and began the fall in her sophomore year with the soccer team. Her time on the pitch was brief, however, as she tore her ACL and was sidelined for 6 or 7 months. In fact, she was not cleared to play softball until the day before the team went to Florida for spring break. In her first game back, Amy pitched well, going 5 innings with 4 strikeouts and only 2 hits allowed in Florida. But something didn't feel right. It wasn't her knee, that was fine. Maybe it was the conditioning, since she had spent so much time rehabbing. Well, as it turns out, that wasn't it either. The reason was the field had been set up for slow pitch softball. And the pitchers aren't nearly as close to the plate as normal. That win was one of 8 in 9 games in Florida, and Rensselaer came home ready to make a playoff run. The team did that, advancing to the ECAC tournament championship game. Individually, Amy, who played all 3 outfield positions, pitched, and played a little bit of second base, was again all-league and all-region. Despite earning awards her first 2 years, it was the 2005 season that could be classified as a breakout campaign for her. Fully recovered from her knee injury, she was the center fielder, ace pitcher, and a captain of a team that had 20 wins, national ranking near the top 10, and earned the top seed in the ECAC tournament. She hit .446 with 45 hits, 40 runs batted in. She ranked 7th in the nation in RBIs per game, with 57 total bases. She also won 9 games from the circle with 59 strikeouts and a 1.07 earned run average. In addition to good health, Amy and the coaches also discovered a secret formula. They found that in doubleheaders, it made more sense and Amy performed better if she played in the field in the first game and pitched in the second game. It kept me focused, she told me. The routine and the cerebral aspect from which Amy pitched fit her style, as she kept hitters guessing with her command and precision of 6 different pitches, which she learned from Coach Marr in Virginia. 2 of those pitches were changeups. Amy is athletic and talented, head coach Erica Lewis was quoted in an April 11th, 2006 article of the Daily Gazette. She has to spot the ball more, but she has a lot of movement on her pitches. I loved pitching, Amy told me. I probably wouldn't have played had I not been a pitcher. Amy also probably wouldn't have played or stayed healthy enough to play had she met teammate Logan Russell any time before her junior year. While Amy had been snowboarding a couple of times before, it was when Logan showed up from New Hampshire, where snowboarding is common, that Amy really took to the mountain. As Amy reflected, I tell Logan that I snowboard, or that I've been snowboarding. The next thing I know, she's inviting me to go with her and takes me to the top of the mountain as soon as we get there. As the chairlift is nearing the top, I start to panic because I am way over my head. Well, I tumble down the mountain, manage to not injure myself, and Logan laughs and encourages me the whole time. We've been friends ever since. With snowboarding on Wednesdays as part of her unofficial off-season training regimen, Amy earned All Liberty League First Team as a pitcher and All Liberty League First Team as an outfielder. She was also All-Region at large. Snowboarding and regular visits to Taco Bell with her teammates were some of Amy's beloved memories outside of athletics. A favorite as a student athlete occurred in her senior year, 4 years in the making. Again, in Amy's words, my freshman year, Coach Lewis implemented journals that we used to write about goals, expectations, motivations, inspirational quotes, etc. Sometimes the assignments were on our own, sometimes they were a group activity. Well, I distinctly remember writing and saying that I was going to the NCAA tournament. So when the team advanced and made it my senior year, that was a very special achievement for me. Amy and her teammates were nearly unbeatable that year. They set the school record for wins with 35, finishing 35-6, including 19 straight victories. They were again nationally ranked, and they won the Liberty League regular season championship. And yes, they qualified for the NCAAs for just the second time in school history. When we came back from Florida with so many dominant wins, I knew it was going to be a special season, she said. Amy was the catalyst on that trip south when RPI was 9-1. She batted .548 with 14 runs and 11 runs batted in. She also went 4-1 with a .211 earned run average and 26 strikeouts in 21 innings. The opponents hit just .134 against her. That success continued throughout 2006, when she finished with a .380 batting average, 37 runs, 38 runs batted in 41 games. She had at least one hit in 28 games and multiple hits 17 times. She scored in 26 games and had at least one run batted in 21. From the circle, she was 13-3 with a 1.80 ERA, 5 shutouts, and 97 strikeouts. Amy, who was once again all-league as a pitcher and an outfielder, was all-region as a utility player and became the first National All-America in school history. While Amy credits others for her success, including her parents, her brother Andrew, who competed in the NCAA baseball tournament as a student athlete at Harvard, Mr. Marr and her teammates, it was her ability to have fun, plus her desire to compete for herself, that brought her to this moment. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our first invitee, who lives in Oakton, Virginia, with her cats Celie and Brennan, Ms. Amy Hewling. Congratulations. I guess we'll stick on the diamond and see if Pat can bat second. I'm not sure he's ever batted second. He's usually third, fourth, or fifth, but will it begin inducting someone who grew up in Troy and played some of travel baseball on Robeson Field, where he would later star in a Rensselaer uniform. Patrick Reardon. Don't be fooled by the proximity. Even with the home field advantage, there was no guarantee Pat would stay in the Capital Region after high school. It was his goal to play at the high level while getting an education that would set him up for a strong future. There were Division I coaches who called, but once Pat truly became aware of the opportunities that Rensselaer and RPI baseball under head coach Carl Steffen, as well as assistant coach Smoke Allard, afforded him, it was an easy choice. As Pat explained, when looking at where I was going to attend college, my parents wanted me to consider where I would get the best education as a plan B when my baseball career was over. Making the decision to attend RPI was the best decision because it allowed me to receive a top-tier education and play competitive baseball, showcasing my talents. It also gave me the opportunity to play professionally. He continues, Carl and Steve saw talent in me out of high school to recruit me, and they continue to push my abilities throughout the years by reestablishing my expectations of the player I could become. That player Pat could become, here's a list of some of his individual highlights. 4-year starter, career .386 batting average, 227 hits with 59 doubles and 22 home runs, 171 runs, 155 runs batted in. All Liberty League 4 times, All Region 3 times, American Baseball Coaches Association All-America and D3Baseball.com All-America as a junior. League Player of the Year, ECAC Upstate Player of the Year. League All-Tournament Team, NCAA Regional All-Tournament Team. Liberty League All-Academic, COSIDA Academic All-District. And he was the Rensselaer Male Career Athlete Award winner. Away from campus, Pat played in the famed Cape Cod League in the summer after his sophomore year, only the second RPI student to do so. It was an invaluable experience, he said, even though it was relatively brief because his team, the Brewster Whitecaps, had to make room for a different catcher, some kid named Yasmani Grandal, who, oh, by the way, you may have seen play for the Los Angeles Dodgers in the World Series last fall. Pat also played in the New York Collegiate Baseball League the following summer, and eventually he fulfilled his dream when he signed with the Tampa Bay Rays after college. While Pat had natural talent coming to RPI, especially with the bat, he needed more than that to earn those awards and the opportunities. He needed to put forth the time and the effort with the proper attitude, and he did just that. Simply put, Pat worked at his crafts. I loved the transition from high school to college, he said. Academically, there was a real depth of knowledge compared to high school. Athletically, I could really commit to baseball. Pat put himself through drills to improve his footwork and his positioning. He took close distance batting practice from Coach Steffen, a wily, long lefty who could still bring it at that time with movement on his pitches. Pat also spent time studying his opponents, trying to look for tendencies through their box scores or their statistics. And he truly discovered strength and conditioning. The self-proclaimed skinny kid out of high school said, "I can't thank Kyle Sutton enough for everything he did when it comes to the next level of strength and conditioning. He taught me how to generate more power and quickness in my workouts and how it would translate directly. The results gave me the drive and continued pursuit that my goal of playing professional baseball was attainable." That goal was nearly reached after Pat's All-America junior year, when he was approached by Major League Scouts on a regular basis, most notably the Cincinnati Reds. However, Pat told them he would only leave school if the ball club would guarantee they'd pay for the last year of his RPI education, whenever that might be. Teams relented. Confident things would work out, Pat came back for his senior year with even more effort. He's going to be our team leader, Stephen was quoted in a March 17, 2010 story in the Record. The article continued, on top of being one of the better players, Reardon also does the little things, hustles, and plays the game the right way. He keeps getting better all the time, Coach Stephen said. He really works at it. Pat went on to lead the team in 7 offensive categories, including a .385 batting average and a league-high 14 doubles and 7 homers. But following appearances in 3 NCAA tournaments the 3 previous years, including 2 years when RPI came within a game of the Division III World Series, and 2 seasons in which the team set the school single-season record for wins, Pat's collegiate career ended before a 4th postseason run, but he still had tremendous memories. My favorite team moment would be winning the Liberty League tournament in 2008 to clinch an automatic bid into the regional tournament, he said. My second favorite moments were making it to the championship game of the regional tournament in back-to-back seasons. Though we came up short both times, it was still incredible to make it that far. Outside of athletics, he said, my favorite moment was walking across the stage at graduation. It was bittersweet at the time because graduation always took place during the Division III World Series. So our goal each year was for the seniors not to be at graduation. Well, with his degree in hand, Pat set out to start his career, or rather careers. I really have had 2 careers since I left RPI. One as a professional baseball player, and now my career as a financial analyst, using my degree. Well, Pat, along with his wife Liana, will begin a new career in July when John Patrick Reardon V is expected. Congratulations to them for that, and congratulations to our 3rd inductee, John Patrick Reardon IV, class of 2010. It was a common belief that our next inductee ended up at Rensselaer by accident, or more specifically, because of injury. Whitney Coleman Kotlewski, also from the class of 2010, doesn't think so. For her, it was all part of God's plan. An Adidas All-America who was ranked among the top 84 sophomores in the country while in high school in California, Whitney played basketball around the country with some of the best in the U.S., including teammate Candace Parker. She was highly recruited, and all signs pointed her going to USC on scholarship. Things changed in the summer of 2003 in a game at Duke University where she tore her ACL and was subsequently forced to sit out her entire junior year. Devastating in some ways, USC and the other big schools stopped pursuing her. The injury actually pushed open doors and brought about opportunities that may not have come otherwise. While recuperating from her injury, Whitney began playing music to kill time. She ended up putting together a CD. I'm a very, very spiritual person, and I have a close relationship with God, she said in a December 5th, 2006 article in the Daily Gazette. When people ask me how I was able to learn how to play the instruments and sing without reading music, I tell them I don't know, but I credit God. She also had to make other plans for college. I lost my chance to play Division I basketball. And that's when I started to think about my second option, she said in the Gazette article. Involved in a program called College Bound while in high school, Whitney became aware of RPI, and the school in upstate New York intrigued her and several of her classmates. There were a bunch of us from California that came here, she said. Most of us never heard of RPI, but my mother told me she had a dream where she was told I would go someplace in the north. We just didn't know it would be the Northeast. Whitney and her parents visited Rensselaer on the first stop of an East Coast college tour, which was supposed to include Hofstra, a school that was also recruiting her to play basketball. After visiting Troy and RPI, she canceled her visits to the other schools. Hofstra was not pleased. There was something about the campus, she told me. It was the right place at the right time. It changed my life. It was the best decision of my life. Although she was 3,000 miles from home, Whitney knew she was where she belonged. She had the opportunity to study and perform music, play basketball, and practice her faith, all with meaning and with purpose. Whitney scored 15 points with 6 rebounds, an assist, a steal, and a block in her very first game, a win. She went on to be named the Liberty League Rookie of the Year and All-League second team. Sophomore year featured a number of highlights, including her hitting the game-winning free throw with 2 seconds left in a win over WPI, a trip with the team to California, 6 double-doubles, and a triple-double. She led the team in scoring and assists and was on the All-Liberty League first team. Her junior year started with promise. She had 13 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 steals in the first game, another win. 10 minutes into the next game, her season ended abruptly with another ACL tear. Not to be deterred, I didn't want to look back with regret and wonder why or what if, she said. She would not give up basketball. She rehabbed again and came back again, scoring 25 points with 11 rebounds in her first game of the 08-09 season. A captain, Whitney was a unanimous all-league first-team choice, named all-region after averaging 16 points a game, and she surpassed the 1,000 career points milestone that season. Her final year was as memorable as any in school history. She became the school's all-time leading scorer, was the Liberty League Player of the Year, All-League First Team, All-ECAC, All-Region First Team, and a National All-America. Most importantly, especially to her, Whitney led the team to a Liberty League tournament championship and into the NCAA tournament, just the second time that had been done in school history. All the points and everything have significance, but the key thing with Whitney, as with other great players before her, is that she knows how those other things will help the team, head coach John Green said in a March 2nd, 2010 edition of The Record. For Whitney, the conference title game, which was played on the road at Skidmore in front of a raucous crowd, was a true intersection of basketball and her faith. Down by double digits at halftime, she spent most of the break praying. Rensselaer came out and went on a 33-8 run to go ahead by 12 in the second half. And eventually they won the first league championship in school history. Whitney had 16 points, 15 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals, and was named the most outstanding player. I give all praise and honor to God, she told the Saratogian newspaper. I have a bond with him. He moves through me to be a better woman and a better mentor to my teammates. Whitney also mentored others, literally. In addition to playing basketball and making music, including putting out another CD, she coordinated and promoted a full-scale concert at then recently opened MPAC, all as she was completing her thesis. Her academic work included teaching music technology classes, literally teaching with set hours on set days at inner city schools in Albany, 3 or 4 times a week. But it was more than teaching. Whitney was fully invested in those kids and that project. It was something bigger, she told me. I was an instrument used by God. She left Rensselaer with 2 degrees, but Whitney continued her education and music in Indiana, where she performed and produced and put together videos. And if you check her out on YouTube, you can see a lot of those videos. She actually became pretty well known, sometimes being stopped in the streets when recognized. It seems singing on stage at the Super Bowl Village in Indianapolis or at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame gets you noticed. Eventually, her passion for music subsided, and Whitney is now a senior user experience architect for a geo-mapping company in her home state of California. There's not much basketball or music at the moment, though she says she may consider joining her church choir someday. Plus, her dad and her brothers are musically talented. But there is her family, and there's her faith, and there always will be. She remains someone who loves to teach, and as a new mom, has ample opportunity to do that every day. She is our next inductee into the Rensselaer Athletics Hall of Fame, class of 2010, Whitney Coleman Kotliski. We would now ask that each of the 5 inductees please come up to the dais, find themselves a seat, and we'll move to our panel discussion phase. Wherever you'd like. Yeah, there it's. All right. Make yourselves comfortable. Feel free to spread out. Now, as you'll see, we have 2 microphones. We're going to ask that you share them. Help yourselves to the water. The idea for this is to have questions, which I will ask. Some will be specific to the individuals. Others will be more general. But the idea is to have a relatively laid-back discussion about their careers, both while here at RPI, currently, family, and otherwise. You guys all set? Feeling good? All right. Yeah, well, grab the microphone, Whitney. Yeah.
Hello, testing 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. We figured we'd start with you since you're most familiar with the microphone, given your background.
I have jet lag.
Obviously, coming as far away as you did from California and having your folks 3,000 miles away, what was that transition like? And then talk, if you would, about your relationship with your folks, in particular your father, and what he would do prior to each game.
So they weren't too happy about me being too far away from home. My parents are still very actively involved in my life. So there was times even at RPI where I would be like running from practice to class and people would be like, hey, call your mom. And I'm like, how did she reach you? And they're like, well, she found my number through someone else, and she hasn't talked to you today. Call her. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. So they've been very active the entire time. And so it wasn't too bad. Coming from California, I was not necessarily used to the weather. So my mom was I think she had in her mind that her child would just be frozen somewhere and no one would know where I was at. So I would get Uggs in a box sent to me and large pea coats and things that I never wore, but she would just send them because she's like, you're cold. I know you're cold out there. But it was an interesting kind of dynamic to try to check in with them. But they flew out probably 5 times a year, all the way up until my double senior year. They came out probably 3 times. So they did a lot of flying. My dad specifically, I think I'm a daddy's girl. So he always was basically ready to go if I needed him. And he actually, for games, because he couldn't be there for the games, what he would do before every game, he would basically write up using scripture and then just also a game plan. So he would call them Whitney's game plans. And these would help me just kind of get focused and think about things beyond just points and things beyond just the assists and things like that, the stats, but thinking about just how, as a leader, I could be on the floor, how I could minister to people on the floor. And so it really kind of got me focused on what are the bigger things of the game. So he would always send me game plans, and that was kind of a thing that I kind of got used to, and I was spoiled. So he would type them up, and he would send them in an email. At the time, I had some ex-boyfriends, and they would print them out because that was a question, how did you get these game plans, and how would you read them? And I'm like, well, I had people working for me. So I would have them printed out, and I would be able to look at them, especially if we were taking a trip to a different school to play. And so I had time to read them and really focus and pray and all that good stuff. But that was something that I think was really meaningful, and I still have my game plans that my dad used to make me. So it was really cool. And even at the game that we ended up winning, the championship game against Skidmore my senior year, my parents weren't unable to come just because of the distance. And we had never really won. Coach knows, we always would get to this point, and we never kind of came through with the win. So it was this final game. We're right there. We're going to actually maybe win a championship game. And we were down by 20 points at halftime, and my mom is at home in California, and my dad is reading the online stats at the time because there was no live stream. And she leaves. She's like, I'm jinxing the game. I have to go up to a mountain and pray. That's what so my dad's call, at the end of everything, he called me. He's like, yeah, your mom left. She thought she was just killing the game for you guys. So then when she came back, she asked me if you won, and I told her yes, and so she was crying and everything. So, but that's how they were able to be to participate and everything, and it was awesome to kind of share that experience, even though we were not close in proximity.
Thank you. But before we continue, I'm just going to ask Jimmy to help. Amy, why don't you stand up? Jimmy, can you grab that chair and put it over here so Amy's back's not to the folks? Or just, slide the chair over. So we'll get... So Trevor, I see you somehow got the microphone. Congratulations. You joked about your stalker parents. I would like you to speak to that. But also, they were nice enough to host the entire team on the way west for a trip. I would like you to talk about that also, please.
Yeah, so if you think your parents were embarrassing to you in high school, imagine if they follow you around in college to all of your meets. So, yeah, they came to almost every meet. Now, luckily, I'm local, so I'm not California to New York, so they just had to drive a few hours, and it was usually pretty easy for them to get there. My baby sister always in tow. She was 6 or 7 at the time, usually. So if you picture this, your worst moment, you're out of breath, you're dying, you're coming around the last corner of some race, and you really don't want to be there anymore. And I don't know how, you probably know this, but your mother's voice will always show up in a crowd, even if she's not that loud. And you're like, oh man, there she is. I don't want to disappoint her. I better try a little harder. So yeah, they were always there screaming at the top of their lungs. It was great to have their support. I had a lot of support from classmates, but having your parents there is really the best. So, and they did. They made best buds with my coach, which is, again, really embarrassing, right? So they're friends with a coach, and they say, hey, coach, bring all the teammates over to our house and park the bus in the gravel driveway, and we'll all just eat. So there's, I don't know, 70 people on our porch, on our floor, outside in the grass, having spaghetti dinner before a meet. So again, little cliche and corny, but they really were my favorite teammates. So thanks.
Hand that right over to Pat, if you would. He was local, now lives in Houston. But,
yeah, I was a true local.
Yeah, and we appreciate you sticking around. You had the chance to have your family and friends at many of your games. How meaningful was that?
It's invaluable. That was one of my decisions in coming to college. Was I knew my baseball career, had an end date, and I wanted to experience that with the people who would help get me there. And they're all in that corner. So if you see, yeah, I am a true local. They show up every game. My parents went to pretty much everything, from snowed out games in Clarkson. They made the trek all the way up there, to Robeson Field, where we had rain. I think a good percentage of the season, but they were always there, peanut butter and jelly in between games. And then my teammates realized that I was being well fed, and they're like, "Can your mom and dad make us food?" So everybody would run up, and it was kind of like our in between, rejuvenate, the troops, and coach kind of looked and was like, well, I mean, they're fed, so I guess I don't have to feed them. So it truly was invaluable to have the support, network, to be able to talk to my mom and dad, be so close, be able to go see my brother's, football games on Friday night. I was close enough, but far enough. I could be like, no, leave me alone, I'm on campus. But then go home and get a home cooked meal and my laundry done. So it was good. I had the best of both worlds here.
Thanks. Jimmy, there was one game, I believe senior year, where I don't know if they brought a bus, but there had to be 50 people from Yonkers at 86 Field with YO to Troy shirts. I assume you remember that, since you seem to remember every single throw you had in some of these games. How did that come about, and again, what does that mean to you, that support?
Yeah, that was one of my favorite games of my career. That was senior year versus Union for the Dutchman shoes. Not only winning it the third year in a row, but having all of the friends and family with those YO to RPI shirts, Robertson with the 14 on the back. I think it was one of my buddies that came up with the idea, because I had a couple buddies at the time that were at school at Albany, Indiana as well. My sister was a freshman at Albany. But besides that, my parents were at every game from 1 year old to whenever I stopped playing. And grandma, aunts, uncles, cousins, friends, girlfriend at the time, dating since 2003, high school sweetheart, 2003, now married. But having all of them there for that game, and I remembered vividly, a lot of them were in that back right end zone right behind the field, where you can basically, there was a rope that you can basically stand on the field, and one play in particular, and he's here now, but Aaron Savazzi there, great wide receiver, roommates for 5 years here. He caught the deep post for the touchdown, and he's going there with not only the Yonkers and family friends, but all the other alums, a bunch of them sitting here as well. And he goes to, jump and celebrate with them. And then after the game, we took a knee, and then I just remember throwing the ball, to my friends. And then I think Jerry Davis at the time came up to me after that game and asked me where that ball was, because we needed it with the budget for the next game. I think I still have that ball, actually. I told him I think one of my friends took it. They ended up giving it back to me. But one of the most memorable games, because, they were all memorable, but that one, having so many of them there, and that's why you play. You play for, the friends and family, and it really meant a lot to have them all there supporting me.
That's great. Amy, can you grab that other microphone, or can somebody pass that off to her? We'll stick with the family theme just for one more question. I know your brother's a bit older, but very close. You're very close, and I know you told me you admire him greatly. What did you try to do to follow in your brother's footsteps, and how did he influence you?
Well, so Andrew's 7 years older than me, and he played baseball and basketball. And so basically everything he did, I had enough time to process it, and by the time I got to that age, I wanted to do it as well as he did, or better, but I mean, we have the gender difference, so it wasn't ever gonna be the same, but he basically set the standard very high, and I wanted to be like he was.
Athletically and academically, and
Yes.
otherwise?
Yes. All of the above.
Nice to have a role model.
Yes.
Whitney, we won't go in
Yes,
this
Kevin.
order. I'm just looking at you because I would like to ask you to talk about, I touched on it a little bit, but all that you had going on that graduate year and the concert you put on. And in addition to that, the opportunity to play with your dad on campus.
Oh, and actually, my concert was so I had a senior year, and then because I was injured, I got a chance to do a master's program, and then that was my other second senior year. So I got 2 senior years, which is nice. But during the first one, after the season concluded, you still have final projects, and you have to get your grades, good to go. And for my first undergraduate thesis, I wanted to put on a gospel concert because I was an EMAC student, so I did electronic media arts and communications. And part of my work was just trying to use music to bring people together, and that was kind of my goal or my focus. And so I was actually one of the first students to perform in the Impact facility at the time, but it was just really phenomenal how everyone came together. And when you talk about just being successful and doing things, I think the biggest thing is how you impact people, not so much what you do, because it was just amazing how the relationships that I was able to build throughout time, people came together for that event in support of me and in support of the cause. And so we ended up having like 300 people showing up for the concert. And the basketball team, they had T-shirts. My parents made T-shirts, and the team was wearing T-shirts. Coach Green was out passing flyers out to people who were coming in. I mean, you would have thought that this was a church service, literally, ran by the RPI women's basketball team and my family. But it was awesome, the gospel concert. But to put that together while also in the middle of a season was very hard to do before it concluded. And I just had to really have time management. I think I can thank my prior captains. When I was a freshman, they had to sit me down and say, Whitney, you're not showing up on time to things. We love you, but we need you to step it up. We know you're better than that. And that was when I was a freshman and a knucklehead. And I think they're kind of pushing, but in the way of it being positive reinforcement, kind of helped me kind of step up to the plate. And even in that time of Coach Green's always true. He has us, let me just say, when you play for Coach Green, you don't get time off. Even when we're not playing basketball, we're doing community service. We're doing community service. We're doing practice. We're doing community service. So there's always these things that we had on our list of things. So you really had to have time management because basketball was a full 8-hour kind of event. It wasn't just a few hours here and then go to practice and the season's over. So I had a lot going on, but it was amazing to see everything come together for the concert. And then what was the other portion that you wanted me to?
After senior game, you got to perform with your dad.
Oh, yeah. So my father, being a daddy's girl, he's had to pretty much do everything when I call on him. But for my senior game, I decided to throw on him as well that he needed to play for this BSA fashion show because I said I wanted to play, and I didn't practice, so I figured I'll add him to the plate, and we both didn't practice, so we'll just kind of ad-lib and do it together. But it was one of those moments when we did this, because we've performed before throughout my entire life, so this is not the first time. But it was really cool for my dad to fly out for a basketball game. I play in the basketball game, and then we run over to my apartment at the time, try to learn this song really quick, get on the stage. My family's there because it's senior game, so they all went over and transported over to the BSA fashion show. And then we play this song, and then they're like, encore, and play one of your songs from one of your albums that you did. And it was just really cool for my senior year to conclude with basketball, with my family there, and my dad, and then I got to do like a praise and worship song too. And it was just like, wow, you know, he really does just do pretty much everything I ask him to do. So I'm like, Dad, I want everything. He's like, okay, let me figure it out. Let me figure it out. Even my husband can say he makes it a little easy to have a dad like that because he helps him out too. But yeah, he's just always been there. He shows up on time. So it was just really awesome to be able to minister to people, to play with my dad, and then to play basketball in front of my family. So
Thank you. Now, each of you, I'm sure, have a favorite opponent or somebody you considered a rival. And going through the research, there are certain teams that certain players did really well against. Pat, for instance, seemed to do really well against Skidmore. Trevor, for instance, always seemed to compete against this gentleman named Jacob Budney from Rochester, or Zane Buckingham from St. Lawrence. Jimmy, I think I have a pretty good idea of yours. Amy, how about you? Favorite opponent or play?
Well, my favorite opponent was Union, but I didn't necessarily, that's not my favorite place to play. But Union, we competed with them all 4 years, and we either, like, every game was close, so it didn't matter. You had to always be up, ready to go, ready to play. And they had two pitchers that basically were there all 4 years, so we knew them, we knew what they wore, everything. The one girl wore sunglasses. It didn't matter if it was sunny or not. So that it was just a really good time to play them every time. And I think we won most of them.
For this night, you did. Absolutely. Well, speaking of Union, Jimmy, you were 3 wins out of 4 games with them. What did it mean to play in those trophy games? Not just Union, but WPI as well. I mean, you only play 9 or 10 games in a football season and have 2 of them as trophy games. Was it a situation where you had to kind of relax yourselves a little bit because you'd get too amped up?
Yeah, I mean, those were definitely the most special games to play. The Dutchman Shoes game versus Union, Transit Trophy versus WPI. And then actually freshman year, the Shot Glass Trophy versus Coast Guard, that we won the last one of that, so that's probably somewhere in the trophy case still. But those were definitely the most fun games. You took pride in them. You knew alums were going to be back at those ones, especially when you're playing the team across the river. And that's why you play the game.
Sure.
If you don't want to play in those games, then you shouldn't play sports or really do anything that you're competing, because those are the ones that it's going to bring out the best in you. That's why all summer long, all winter long, whenever you're training, you're thinking of those ones. You have those ones circled, those rivalry games. As much as you want to say every game is equally important, when you're playing those rivalry games, you know all the alums are back on campus. You're going to go a little harder for those ones.
And if I can do the math, 7-1 in those games.
Yeah, 7-1 freshman year was a tough one versus that other team.
Yeah. Pat, what was it against Skidmore, Pat, that you seem to have success?
I don't know. It was Skidmore was always just a crafty team, and they always had a target for us because Union at the time wasn't really a good team, so they were that like other local team. And they're like, they knew a bunch of us because we were all Section 2 athletes, predominantly. So it was kind of, we didn't get RPI. They kind of came after us. So we were just hungry for them, and we had a target on our back. We were RPI. We were always top team in the league, and Skidmore just was constantly knocking on that door. Like I said, scrappy team, and I don't know what it was. I guess we always tried to play them later in the season, so it kind of warmed up. Ball would travel a little bit more, but yeah, they were just a good team, and you got to rise to the competition. So
yeah. Did Zane and Jacob help you rise to the competition? Was there a rivalry there, or just mutual respect?
I'd say it's mostly mutual respect. Decathletes, serious decathletes in the leagues here, there's a small band of misfits, and there's always somebody on top and somebody trying to chase his heels, somebody trying to chase his heels. And so I was also always chasing this guy from Rochester, and then there was always a guy from St. Lawrence chasing me. But it was, yeah, I think it's mostly mutual respect, but then some begrudging love-hate relationship on the side.
Yeah.
You really don't want them to succeed, but, you know, do your best.
Your heart's too big.
Yeah.
Tell me what you miss, and this is for everybody in any order, what you miss most about being on a college team. I know it's been a while for some of you, but your memories are sharp. Go ahead, Pat.
So, and Jimmy, you can probably attest to this, but the difference between a college team and a professional team is definitely the camaraderie. You know, playing professionally, everybody's got their different motivations, whether it be everybody wants to move up, everybody's all about the money. You know, it's not a team. So you're really playing to win the game in college. Professionally, you're not playing to win. You're playing for your stats. You only care about you because everybody else could be gone tomorrow, and you don't care as long as you're getting paid. College was truly about the brotherhood, sisterhood that you developed with your teammates, and that true family bond that you were coming together for that common goal, get wins, get that team recognition, you know, win shoes games, make it to regionals for us, hopefully win World Series, win league titles. Like, you were doing that together, and it was that common goal for us that, you know, really was the difference about being on a college campus.
Thanks. Now, Jimmy, you have a different perspective, being that you're still part of a college team. Compare, if you can, briefly, the difference between being a student athlete and being a coach, and how you see things. What's the view through the two different prisms?
Yeah, definitely my experiences as a student athlete is the reason that I coach now. Coaching in college now for the past 7 or 8 years, and my coaches, you know, sitting here, that's the reason why I do it. From, you know, a couple coaches in high school that I really respected and want to be like, and then the coaches here with, you know, Coach King, Coach Sapp is here, Coach Shaleko, Coach Maletta. These are the reason why I coach. And now you see, as a coach, you see why we did all those things. You know, probably as a player, just like, you know, my players now probably question a lot of the things that I try to have them do, but you realize why, you know, after the fact. You know, they always had a rhyme and reason for it. We didn't just do things to do it, and they had the success to prove it. So now, being in their shoes, you know, I try to do a lot of things that they taught me. I try to do the same things, whether it's from, you know, the X's and O's to how we break down a team, to how we run an off season, to how we run an in season. You know, seeing it from the other side of the table now, you know, you really see it and you really appreciate it. You know, and probably never told them, you know, when I was playing how much you appreciated it, but, you know, they're the reason that, you know, I coach now, and really just try to, like you said earlier, you know, trying to emulate little things that they did, you know, and how relentless they were, you know, and everything they did. That's what I want to be.
You sometimes look in the mirror and realize what an idiot you were as a student athlete when you look back?
Oh, yeah, there's definitely times where you say, you know, why did we do this or why did we do that? As players, yep. You know, and the coaches probably 9.99 out of 10 times were right, although we thought we were right 9.99 out of 10 times.
Now, Jimmy was recruited, and we talked a little bit about the coaching staff. Amy, you got here recruited, of course, but Lizzie helped get you here. Can you tell that story? Lizzie Vitaliano is here, a former teammate.
Yes, well, this story starts with my mother. My mom wanted to make sure that I really knew where I wanted to go to school, and we visited no less than 26 schools. 2 different trips, one went south and one went north, and on the north trip, we stopped at RPI. And the RPI tour took us through the Commons, and I'm in the middle of the Commons looking at all the food and checking it out, and Lizzie comes flying across the room going, "Do you play for the Stars?" And I'm like speechless because someone's talking to me, and I'm like, "Yeah, I do." And so then we started talking about softball, and ultimately meeting Lizzie that day and talking about softball is probably the reason I'm here. because when it was time to decide where to go to school, I was like, I really liked Lizzie and her talking about the softball program, so it sounded like a good place. So here I am.
And do you want to defend yourself on the snowboarding at all, or is that something we want to move past?
I mean, we can talk about snowboarding. I said I had been snowboarding, and that was not a lie, but I had never been down a hill larger than a bunny hill. So Logan was like, yeah, let's go. And we just went to the top. And yeah, I fell down that entire hill. And like, thank God Coach didn't know, because that wasn't gonna go over well. So yeah, that's how that went.
Thank you, yes.
I don't fall anymore though.
No, I'm sure you're an expert at this point, yeah. We have a couple of new parents here, and as I mentioned, Trevor has 3 children. How has that changed your perspective on things, Trevor?
That changes your perspective on just about everything.
Yeah.
From how valuable sleep is to having your own time away from other people, personal time. And people trying to get into the bathroom while you're trying to use it. They're always pounding on the door. Let me in, let me in. So, I mean, a lot of people in this room know it changes your perspective on everything. I mean, you don't live your life for yourself anymore now. You're living your life through your kids. So, yeah, so thanks to my wife for my beautiful 3 children.
Jimmy, do you want to weigh in?
Yeah, it definitely does change your life. I'll say the biggest way it changed it, my wife tells me all the time that a lot of things she said I never did for her or do for her, now all of a sudden you have a daughter and you're doing all those things all of a sudden. But I'm just fortunate enough, especially in the profession I'm in with coaching, just to have such a great wife, support system. My parents, her parents are all 4 sitting right here, and all my other siblings and everyone else that, having me is the best thing in the world, like Trevor said, and really just changes you, and everything you do is all about her now.
Pat, you're not quite there yet. Knock on wood, everything goes well. Do you expect to have your parents moving to Houston once John
Thank
Patrick
God.
is born?
You hear that, Mom and Dad? You are moving.
Your father told me he was retired now, so.
Yep. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to it. I've had a lot of support from them, so I just like, teach me, please. I don't know if I'm quite ready. I guess I'm ready. Nobody is quite ready, but excited for the journey and to see everybody else with their kids. I'm like, man, I can't wait for that. So,
thanks. Whitney, 2 degrees from RPI, advanced schooling at I think it was IUPUI. So you have some comparison. What does an RPI degree mean, or in your case, degrees?
What does it mean that you survived? No, I think that any student, I got a chance to not have to do the gruesome engineering or biomedical courses that everyone else had to do. I got a chance to be on the artsy creative side. So they called it EMAC/Easy Mac, because when everyone else was stressing out, we were like making fun projects and videos of everyone stressing out. But I think that the degree in being a student athlete means that you have figured out a way for that balance of that time management balance of being able to kind of work hard and play hard. Like I said, basketball for us was an 8-hour day in some cases, because you had get up in the morning, go ice your body, go get therapy on your body, stretch your body, go work out, go lift, go to class, come back, ice your body, stretch your body, work out, go to class, lift, or practice shooting, go ice your body. So there's like this repetition that would happen. So you had to really figure out ways to be able to like manage this like kind of instrument or tool that you were using for sports, be able to get your academics and everything in order and in line so that you were performing and being successful in the classroom. And then also be able to be a student, be able to still go, if there was a party, to be able to be in attendance, and to hang out and to laugh and to we had also community service activities, be able to do those things. So there was a lot on the list, but I think that the transition from then academia into like the workforce, you become just so much more ahead of the game, because now when you start adding kids into the equation, you're like, okay, like I told, like just today, why I was a little bit late. I looked at my husband and it's about 6 o'clock and the baby's not dressed yet. And we're like, okay, game time. She's hungry. She needs to be changed. We need to dress her. We need to get dressed. We're going to figure it out. But you just figure out how to just go with the flow, manage your time, figure out how to get things done. But it's all that pressure and the thing. I think the experience from college that just kind of, you just figure it out, you know. And no matter what comes your way, you can just tackle on lots of things and get it all done. So.
And for Amy, in your sport, you could have rainouts, you could have games 3 days in a week, or 3 straight days, or 4 straight, whatever the case is. How were you able to manage that playing softball in the Northeast, where you didn't know game yes, or were rescheduled for tomorrow?
Well, for starters, you wore a lot of clothes. So managing it was difficult. I think probably our teachers were the most frustrated, or professors, because you'd tell them you weren't coming to class one day because you had a game, and then you're like, psych, just kidding. I'll be in class, but tomorrow I won't be.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we have a test tomorrow. And I'm like, well, this note says that you have to let me reschedule that. So that, yes, managing and balancing was pretty difficult, but you ended up doing it.
Was being on the field a safe place? You threw all the academics away and you just were able to concentrate on your friends and softball and not worry about the test that you might have tomorrow? Or
yeah, absolutely.
projects?
For me personally at least, it was easy to block school out once you were on the field, and then the second you weren't on the field anymore, it all comes crashing back in, and you just switch gears.
Yeah.
So, but it definitely is a balance and something that you find. But I would say that I think probably everyone here is prepared for it. So.
Yeah. Trevor, did you find yourself prepared for that? In that, look, you were practicing 10 events. Probably not at the same time, I wouldn't think, but you had to fit them in at some point, plus aero and mech-e and other extracurriculars. How'd that balance work for you?
Yeah, you can't pole vault and javelin at the same time.
I would like to see that, though.
Really bad idea. It worked well, and I think you took some of my words appropriately and put them into your introduction. I think it was the only way that I survived, is that I didn't have free time with which I had to decide what I was going to do, which was by my decision. I mean, you don't have to do all these things. But the balance was, you get all this mental stress in class, and then you go run it out on the track. And then music always solves everything. I mean, it brings you down. So, and then my friends in my fraternity and elsewhere. So the balance was very important to me. I think that's really what helped me achieve. Focusing on one thing alone, you're going to burn out real quick.
Yeah. Pat, is there one game that stands out to you? Or one moment in one game that stands out to you?
There's a few.
I said one, Pat.
Yeah. Catcher. You remember everything, like processing. One of the biggest ones that I can remember from early on in my career, and we really knew that we, as RPI, had made it. So we go down to Florida every year because you obviously can't play here, even now. So you go down to Florida for your spring trip, and there's 4, 6 fields sometimes just all around, and we knew we had made it when there was more fans at our game, which is a Division III game, than we were surrounded by all Division I games, and all the scouts, all the fans had come to watch us because we were the top 5 team in the country at the time. So they're like, ooh, they must have something going on. So they were watching that game, and you see heads from the other fields like, who's playing over there? I've never seen them before. So it was actually a really good game. It was against, that was the year we scheduled pretty good competition. So it was top 25. I think it was a top 15 matchup, for us. And having that kind of fan, we didn't get like you guys, tons of fans at the games. So having that around you was really cool, and it kind of set the stage for where we could be as a program.
Thanks. This is a group question, so we can figure out who goes first. But outside of athletics, who or what do you most remember or miss about RPI or the Capital Region? Jimmy?
The biggest thing I miss, it really is just the athletics, to be completely honest.
You know, I said it without athletics.
Yeah, I probably don't really have a good answer to that one. It's really just the guys on the football team, the coaches, these guys sitting here. Just miss that camaraderie. You know, living off campus with them after freshman year for the next 3 years, and then the fourth year when I coached and got the masters up here. But it's just the people. You know, it's the people that you were a part of. That's the reason why you do it. You know, you have that healthy fear of not wanting to let them down. You know, it's not a scared fear, but it's a healthy fear of you want to work. You know, again, everyone works hard, but you want to work harder than anyone else to not let them down. And that's the thing I miss most. It's just the teammates, the coaches, the support staff, the equipment guys, everyone, strength guys, you know, and again, a lot of them sitting here,
Yep.
you know, that's what I miss most.
Can any of the other four who, even though he's got a 3.85 and 2 degrees from RPI, couldn't answer the question, want to try to answer the question?
I'll answer it the same way, but I won't use the word teammate. I
Oh,
guess.
okay, yeah, we're all set then.
So yeah, it's definitely the friends. I think you make the closest, most intimate friends in college, and I miss that because we're all spread out around the country now, and I don't get to see them very often. I don't think you make those kind of friendships anywhere else in life outside your family, so I do miss that a lot.
And Whitney, you told me a story about 3 friends from RPI who are now in California and you're still close with, is that right?
Yes, so we all came from California to RPI, and then we all left RPI back to California. So one of them actually got the baby, her little RPI bib, that they were like, she has to wear it to the induction. So I have it on her. And then one of my good friends, Claudine, who's actually from New York, I met her as well, and she ended up being, you know, the maid of honor at my wedding. You know, she's a godmother, unofficial godmother to my child. You know, but yeah, I had a chance and opportunity to establish friendships not only with my teammates, but then just meeting people, and I really got a chance to get close to a church that was right down the street from RPI called Bethel Baptist, and actually I have the former pastor and the music ministry directors here as well that were just influential, and they impacted my entire time at RPI, kept me focused spiritually and mentally. Miss Stevens, she was my second mother, and my mom really appreciates her for getting on me. I even knew about the little cloth for my legs because I went to more traditional church. So I was already on game on that. And Pastor Shaw, I was just telling him about how, he prayed over my cars that I had shipped over here to RPI for me to be able to have transportation. He prayed over our apartments. I still have a vehicle that, I was using to take people to church with and to get around campus, and I still have it in California. We use it just a couple times to get around our town, but they just really, they were my home away from home. That church and just the people in it, and so that really helped too, because I was able to kind of take a step back from athletics and even academia, and though I couldn't see my family, my grandparents, my brothers, I got a chance to kind of like go to church at least on Sunday and see a friendly face, and they would literally love on me. I was like everyone's grandbaby and like everyone's daughters. I soaked it all up. I was spoiled. So they would give me things, they want to cook for me. People were just awesome. So I definitely, I miss it because I love them. And though we have a church home back at home, I still will always have Bethel and the people part of that church in my heart. So,
thank you. We're going to begin to wrap up now and ask that each of the inductees spend 2 or 3 minutes or so offering their thanks to individuals or others who may or may not be here. Because we want to make sure that you have that opportunity. We may have touched on it, we may not have, but Jimmy, why don't you start and provide a couple of minutes worth, if you have it, of thanks.
Yeah, first and foremost, and I know we've hit on it a bunch, but have to thank my family. Starting with my wife, Kristen, who I mentioned before at the time, was my girlfriend all throughout my career here. Don't think she missed a game, home or away. Love of my life since end of my sophomore year of high school. So just really need to just thank her for the girlfriend she was, the wife she is, and the mom that she is now, because without her, I'm definitely not sitting here right now today. Just going around my parents, who are sitting right next to her there, the foundation of this family, Mia too, sorry Mia. But what my parents did for me and my other siblings, I like to say if I can be half the father my dad was to me and half the parent my mom, was and is to me still to this day, then Mia's gonna have a really, really good life because they're just really, really special parents. And same thing, never missed a game, home or away. And I forgot who said, I think it might have been Whitney, where with the, your mom had to go up to pray into the mountain. My parents were very superstitious as well, where if they were standing somewhere and we were doing well, they were staying there. If we were not doing well, then they would probably switch the other side of the field or walk around or do something. So again, without them not here. My siblings, most of them here today, 5 of the 6 here. My brother Dennis, who's sitting there, who you mentioned before, who was a great quarterback himself. And, one of the reasons I wanted to play quarterback and, wanted to be as good as him growing up, and, was always proud to say that I was Dennis's brother, and that he was the quarterback, ahead of me, with his wife, Lindsay, who she was actually at that YO to RPI game in one of those T-shirts. Hopefully she still has it today. My sisters, Amanda, her fiance, John, Tiffany, and Faith. Faith was 1 year old my freshman year here. Didn't miss a game either, but all of them, just always there. And then my brother Derek, who you said, had a baseball game today, so couldn't be here. My wife's parents, Chuck and Sue Gardner, who came to games, and again, without them, definitely not here. All my coaches, Coach King and his wife, Mrs. King, who are here. Coach Sapp and his wife, Coach Mileta, Coach Aleko. I know we touched on it before, but without the coaches, definitely not here. Coach Delmonico, DC, and them. And then, most importantly, the teammates. Definitely no ifs, ands, or but about it. Definitely 100% not sitting here today if not for Andrew Utchig, who's sitting right there. Was a year older than me at Iona Prep. He was a wide receiver. I was the quarterback my junior year at Iona. They saw Utchig's film. He ended up coming here, and that's how I got interested in RPI. So no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If Utch the Clutch never came here, I am not sitting here today. So I have to thank him for that. Aaron, roommate for 5 years, again, scored a lot of touchdowns and was a great roommate and friend. Josh Rapone, who you mentioned before, was here, was a brother to me. Was a year older than me, a quarterback, and really was a brother to me, mentored me, took me under his wing, and without him and the other quarterbacks aren't here. And then it's the offensive line. Got 2 of them here today. Jake Russell, who without him, there's probably not 4, 5, 6 Hall of Famers if he wasn't playing offensive line as a 4-year starter, which he'll probably be up here pretty soon. And then Matt Pisano was a senior starting center. As a freshman quarterback, probably weighed 170 pounds at the time, having the senior starting center take you under his wing, and ended up being in my wedding party, one of my best friends to this day. So, without him, getting me to this point and us giddying up a bunch when we got under center there, definitely not here. So friends, family, all the support staff, Mr. Conway, and a bunch of others here, just really want to thank all of them, because without the people at those 3 tables and a bunch of others that aren't here, I am definitely not sitting here today, whether it was RPI or success anywhere. It's all about the people you're around, and they're going to make you who you are. So just really need to thank all of them for being here.
Thank you, Jimmy. We want to go in order. Amy, you want to go, or who's next? Go ahead, Pat.
Okay. So like Jimmy and everybody else has said, first and foremost, thank you, Mom and Dad. You know, without you, none of this is possible. I'm gonna get choked up because that's how much this has meant to me. I reflect on the conversations that have led to where I am today. So thank you, thank you, thank you. My brother, phenomenal. I beat you up growing up, but you were always there for me. I'm always there for you, so thank you. My wife, I didn't meet her until after RPI, but everything I did at RPI led me to you. So thank you, thank you. You are gonna be a tremendous mother, so I look forward to the next phase of our life together. My family, who is all here, they've been here, they've been the rock, the support. Thank you. I can't say it enough because that's how much having that close-knit family has meant to me, has helped me through hard times, has been there to support the good times. They went all the way down to my first game when I got promoted from Tampa up to first season game. They were there, had ribbons, the newspaper and everything. Were like, who the heck are these people that, you know, come? So thank you all for being there for me, supporting my career. You know, it truly means a lot. I love you all. I was also fortunate that I worked, you know, at the Mueller Center at the time, was connected to the athletic offices. So I got to see RPI athletics in and out. I got to see the day-to-day operations. I got to see who would come in early for their workouts and who would, you know, who was there, you know, strolling in, got to know their time frames, everything. So I got to form significant relationships with people on this campus that are invaluable to me. First and foremost, Amy, you were awesome. You came in, you were working hard, and you know, you'd stop by the Mueller Center just as like a de-stress. So I got to know you as a friend, and I can't thank you enough. Amy showed up at a couple of my baseball games, a couple of my pro baseball games, and was just there like, I know him. This is awesome. Like, we got a pro player. This is great that I was fortunate to be around. But it was part of your hard work, and Kevin, your hard work, Perry, your hard work, that helped promote me and give me a platform that, you know, the pro scouts thought I was legitimate enough and were like, hey, these stats are actually pretty good. So gave me an opportunity, so I can't thank you guys enough for that. Thank you for saying it, Kevin, Kyle, thank you, thank you. You helped see something in me. I was dedicated, I saw an opportunity. I sat down in your office when you were first hired and I said, I think we can do something here. You were a baseball guy, I was a baseball guy. I said, let's make something happen. Like, I think I got a shot. You believed in me, you pushed me, you took me to a whole new level athletically, and I can't thank you enough. Like, this was because of our work together, so thank you. And thank you for making it out here. You know, Kyle just had a baby too, so this is awesome that, you know, he was able to step away and help support me. So the RPI family, I just can't thank you enough. You know, took this local kid, you know, and I'm able to take these skills, transfer them. You know, I'm all the way in Houston, Texas now. This is crazy. I never thought I'd be there, but I have transferable skills because of RPI and my life here at RPI. So thank you, RPI, for that.
Thank you, Pat. Trevor?
So firstly, thank you to the athletic department staff. Whether the athletes know it or not, you are very crucial to their success at RPI. So keep it going here. It's important, right? And let me just thank my table real quickly. So my parents, thank you for being the soccer fans, really. I do appreciate it. For letting me set all my own goals, never pressuring me, and always being proud no matter what I did. I'm not going to say thank you, but I say sorry to my little sister and my other sister who's not here if she watches it online for getting dragged to all those meets. I'm sure you had a little bit of fun playing in the dirt, right? To the coaches, Coach Torrey, Coach Lutz, other folks that aren't here like Coach Hudson and all the other staff on the track and field team, these guys really love their sport. They do it for the joy of the sport. They love their student athletes on and off the track. So keep it up along with the rest of the staff, right? And then lastly, to my wife, who is suffering through the after effects of a college athlete. Now everything is a race and a competition, and we'll win our race, honey. Love you.
Thank you, Trevor.
Okay, I'm gonna try my best to
Good
not
luck.
cry. But I think I'll start with the table because I think that keeps me focused. First, I'll start with my former teammates, Chrissy and Missy. Thank you guys for coming. These two, I believe it was my freshman year, had to sit me down, like I mentioned a little earlier, and just let me know from a captain's perspective where I was and where they saw me. And I think that was a really nice way to do that. I think that was in a way to impact me in a different way, not only as a player, but when I deal with people in conflict, or if I deal with people when I'm talking or mentoring at work. For instance, I have other employees and people that I oversee, and to talk to them and look at them and tell them, this is where you're at and where I see you. I see you better than this. And I think that by them doing that, it kind of shaped my perspective of my role at RPI on the women's basketball team. I kind of came in a little cocky, I'm not gonna lie. So it was a way for them to make me humble, but to let me know that they loved me and that they believed in me. And so, you see them here today, and they still love me and believe in me. So I thank you guys for doing that. I thank them also for being great examples of discipline. These two work very hard. They worked hard, and even now in their lives now, they're working hard. But I just wanted to tell them thank you. I saw that. I was looking at you guys, even as a young hothead, saying those girls got it covered. And even my mom was saying, Chrissy, it totally makes sense that you can handle 2 kids and your whole life because you just were so responsible back then. But they were the girls that were on the ball, and I wanted to be like them. So thank you guys for coming. My good friend Claudine, I love you. This girl, actually, when I was on my tour that Kevin talked about, I was walking through campus, and it was just like, from California, a lot of things, it's sunny, yes, and it's great, whatever, it's the greatest place ever. But when you envision college and like East Coast, you just think of like what's in the movies. And so for some reason, when I came to RPI, it just like made sense. I was like, this is college. This is the East Coast. I gotta come here. Like, it's real. And it was cold. I think Coach said that it was like snow flurries the day that we came. We were watching like a lacrosse game, I think, or something, and it was like really cold outside. But it was just, I saw Claudine. I was walking on one of my tours, and at the time she was with her boyfriend at the time. And this girl just looked like she was the Beyonce of RPI. Like, she was just walking with sass and confidence and drive, and she just seemed so intellectual, and she was beautiful. And I just was like, I'm coming to this school, and I want a boyfriend, first of all, like her. And I want to be like this girl. Like, if this is going to be me in like another year or two, like, I got to come to this school. So that also was in RPI's favor. As I happened to meet Claudine, and at the time when she saw me, because she was very cocky as well, I think she just might have looked and been like, hey, and then kept going. But later on, we ended up getting the opportunity to be roommates. And then after that, I think it was a conversation about God and church. And from there, we have been best friends. And also, she goes to church. So we won on that one. But no, we've been best friends, and I love her to death. So thank you for always being there and supporting me. And to my brother Brandon and his wife Rachel, they're actually expecting a little one, so I'm going to get a niece or nephew soon. Thank you guys I know how it is when you're first finding out you're pregnant and you have all that stuff going on. So Rachel, thank you for being here and actually being able to endure this right now. And Brandon, thank you for just being one of my biggest fans and just being an awesome brother, and just, you're always there every time I call on you. And then to my brother Greg, thank you so much. He is a silent servant. And when I say silent servant, Greg is always having his hands in helping things get done. He was like my brother, sister, father, mother when I was growing up. He's been through everything in the sun that a girl could go through, all the way even in high school. And being a brother, he had to deal with everything. But he was always my biggest supporter and fan. He always had to deal and endure with weekends at basketball games when he would rather be doing something probably other than that. He spent his entire life probably supporting me with basketball or with music or with my baby. But he's just always there, and he's always just there to help. This morning, even, I'll come help you get the baby changed. I'll come help you guys do this. My brother is just always, he's just always showing up. He's just always there. So thank you, Greg, for just being you. I know we put a lot on you, but thank you for just enduring it and loving on us. So thank you. And then my parents, thank you guys for just being awesome, being role models, loving on me, being patient with me, flying all the time out to these events like this. I know you guys flew out 5 times my freshman year, 5 times my sophomore year. Lots of trips. When I was in Indiana, you guys were flying out just to come see me and to be with me. And right now, they're helping support me and my husband with, letting our nanny come to their house so that we can have someone watching the baby. So, they're always present, always helping us, always loving on us. And I just thank you so much for just never stopping, getting tired of me. And then to my in-laws, thank you guys for showing up as well. I thank you guys so much for just kind of coming on this journey, and you guys got a chance to find out another side of me that I probably didn't share as much of, but I was happy to be able to share that with you guys, and you guys got to see it in action, even with the tour today, so thank you. And then to my church family, thank you guys so much for showing up and being supportive this entire time, and just being that family away from home that I needed and still today. I just thank you guys for your prayers, for your support, for your mentoring, and I love you. And then to my athletic family, at least the RPI, Kevin, you did a great job of just trying to interpret everything that was going on in my life and being able to put it in the most simplest form that could be communicated to everybody today. So I thank you for just your time on that, because that was I also want to get like a recording of that just because it was just awesome. I couldn't even keep myself together. I was like, Whitney, no, you're going to take a picture right after this, because it was just so beautifully written. And, I was trying to think about, at work and everyone we were talking to up until this day, they're like, oh, my God, that's an awesome accomplishment to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And how do you feel? And I'm like, I think it's cool. Like, I'm getting there. I think I'm getting into the mojo. I got the baby, so I'm kind of thinking about the baby and how she's gonna fly on her first trip and all that stuff, and how to pack a bag for the baby, and can I bring formula and how much and all these things. But when I was sitting in that seat, and then earlier today when Coach was able to take us around campus and show me things to let me kind of revisit. It was just really just meaningful. It made everything come together of my journey, the injuries that I overcame, just all the prayers that I had throughout my experience, all the friendships, and you were able to just kind of bring it all together, and that really was touching and moving to me to just be able to experience that in that seat. So thank you so much for that. And then, to the staff, Amy, I know, we go way back. You've always been a supporter and one of my biggest fans as well. I thank you for just everything. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your support. I thank you for your laughs as well. And Coach Green, you were like my other dad. You're my Caucasian dad, Coach Green. I actually call Coach JG because as though he seems like he's just on the straight line, the straight and narrow, he got some swagger. So JG, JG is awesome. He really has just been just a driving force even after my basketball career, of just like reminding me of what I did, who I was, and what it meant to RPI and to the girls. Coach really just went on that journey with me, I think, towards the end of my career when I got more mature, got more wise. I was really in church, and I was really praying and like ministering, and just, he was right there with me. I think me and Coach at sometimes are just like talking back and forth, like, yeah, we gotta have faith with this one, Coach. And he's like, yeah, we gotta have faith. So it didn't come to a surprise, like at our championship game, that he let me, while everyone else is warming up, I'm at halftime praying. And Coach is like, she's doing what she needs to do. Like no questions asked. This is my girl. She knows what she's doing. But, he has just been such a supporter. The accolades and the stats that I acquired, he made sure to keep those things in order. I can tell you now, Coach is the type of guy, like even today, we went on a tour. At the end of the tour, he's like, Whitney, I still have a box that I need you to look through. And I'm like, okay, where's this box from? He's like, it's from when you graduated, so that's probably like a couple years ago. a long time ago. And I saved it for you. And now most people would probably have gotten rid of a box that was probably like 8 years old, you know. And in this box, I have socks, I have shirts, I have pins, I have a dirty towel. I don't know what was in there. I said, Coach, some of this stuff, we could just get rid of it now, you know. But then tucked away in there are all these awards and papers and newspaper articles, the locker tag that I had in the new ECAP facility, my ACL brace that I was like, ooh, I might need to wear this one day. You know, does it still work? And he saved all that because that's the kind of guy he is that, you know, he just doesn't throw you away. Once you play for Coach Green, you're part of his family forever. And so I just thank you, Coach, for loving on me and for supporting me and believing in me. And thank you. Thank you so much. I love you. Thank you. And so, yeah, I just want to thank everyone. And the last but not least, and I wanted to say it for last, is just God. He's just been so influential in my life. And I know I keep saying, God, 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 God. And you guys are like, okay, all right, we got it. You love God. But it really is just amazing even today. And even like with my baby girl and my family, my husband, who I thank so much for everything, just for changing my whole love story. And writing and being part of this chapter of my love story and helping me provide, you know, for my child. But, you know, it's just amazing that he took someone who wasn't so deserving and who I don't think I'm that awesome. But he's able to write this story for me that just has just amazing things in it and things beyond my abilities and capabilities. And so I just thank God for writing this story and for providing me with so much love and support just to continue throughout my day and to be successful. So that's it, all right?
Thank you, Whitney.
Say, I don't think I'm gonna talk as long. I'd like to thank my family, the Collenbergs, and my friends who came to support me to this. Listening to actually everybody else's family stories reminded me of a game at University of Rochester. I believe the forecast was rain, and my parents and my brother drove 7 hours to see me play, even if it might have rained, and they rolled out head to toe, ponchos, plastic bags covering their feet, and plastic on their heads, and I've never been prouder, guys. That was awesome. I loved every second of it, and I was so happy to see you that day. And I just want to thank you for all the support you've given me through the years. And then Lizzie and Logan, you too. I wouldn't have made it through all 4 years without you. And then last but not least, Coach Lewis, thank you for being here and for coaching me for all 4 years, believing in me when probably sometimes I didn't completely believe in me, so that was much appreciated. And thank you, Kevin, and everyone who's worked on this program. Thank you.
Thank you. Our program has concluded. I want to thank everybody for being here, taking the time. I know many came from long distances. We really appreciate it. Congratulations to our honorees. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Please get home safely as you travel. Thank you. Stay up here so we can get some photos. We're going to take just a couple of minutes to get some photos done. Obviously, people are welcome to get pictures as well, but we're just going to hold on to these folks for one more minute.